I speak about politics. I share my views and my opinions. I share my arguments and my ideas. I make moral claims all of the time. I call things good. I call things evil. All of my moral claims are founded on a developed moral system. A developed set of philosophical claims that help to justify what I say. Here I am going to speak about that moral system. In my view, this is very important. I am making moral claims. It is important that I justify those claims. It is important that you understand my basic philosophy. Too much political commentary is dogmatic. People make moral claims without any philosophical foundation. That is an issue. Morality is very important. We don't speak about morality enough. We don't think about morality enough. We like to make moral claims, but we are often bad at justifying them and defending them. What makes something evil? And why should anyone care if something is evil? These are serious questions, very serious questions. They deserve to be answered. That is what I am going to do here. I am going to explain the basics of my approach to morality. In my view, the basis of any serious moral system is irrationality and the human capacity for pain and pleasure. Morality must be rational. A serious moral system must base its claims on the capacity for pain and pleasure. We are condemned to be dominated by our sentience, our capacity for pain and pleasure. It is these forces that give everything else its meaning. Pain and pleasure dominate the sentient existence. Pain and pleasure define the sentient experience. There are two gods, one called pain and one called pleasure. Nobody is above these forces. They can deny their dominance. They will continue to feel pain and despise it. They will continue to feel pleasure and desire it. The dominance of these forces is widely recognized. Look at the religions. Upon what do they found their claims? An afterlife, a bad one and a good one, a hell and a heaven, a pain and a pleasure. To evade pain and pursue pleasure, these are the foundational drives, the ultimate axioms. They inform everything else. They are the basis of reasoning. It is from the capacity for pain and pleasure that moralism was born. Moralism emerged as a means of pursuing such things within a deeply social setting. A set of rational maxims identify fundamental sentient interests. The undermining of respect for sentience is not in the interest of one who can suffer. The corrosion of empathy and compassion is not in the interest of one who can suffer. The normalization of cruelty and brutality is not in the interest of one who can suffer. A society that is desensitized to inhumanity and depravity is not in the interest of one who can suffer. A society that is opposed to suffering is in the interest of one who can suffer. These rational maxims identify fundamental sentient interests. Some would claim that such maxims are crude and simplistic. Some would claim that this is a weakness. They would be wrong. Such maxims are crude and simplistic not by accident, but by design. Moral rules and guidelines must be simple and rigid. When one allows for exceptions, every immorality becomes the exception. The exception is the death of the rule. Soon all moral rules have collapsed with hideous consequences. Moral rules must be strong and rigid. If they are not, they cannot serve their purpose. Every immorality will become the exception. These maxims are overwhelmingly valuable, and so the creation of a rigid rule is justified. A strong moral rule that promotes overwhelmingly beneficial conduct. A few convenient exceptions are worth nothing if they come at the expense of undermining and destroying immensely valuable moral rules. and so is born the rigid rule. Some would declare this an undue simplification of self-interest. Again, it is that way by design. Overcomplicate your interest and you will lose sight of it. Soon, you will be undermining it. Confusion, disorientation, and uncertainty are not in our interest. Simple guidelines that allow for an easy and effective pursuit of self-interest are. Rigid rules are a key component of my approach to morality. Rational morality has other components as well. Precedent. We are precedent-based creatures. We look to the actions of others to guide our own actions. Our actions write the guidelines that will inform the behaviour of others. This simple social reality has significant moral implications. One must be careful what precedent one creates, reinforces, or undermines. It should also be noted that a wrong against one is a wrong against all. When one undermines respect for sentience, corrodes empathy and compassion, and normalizes cruelty and brutality, all who can suffer are the victim. And so too does moral conduct further the well-being of all who can suffer. When one promotes respect for sentience, propagates empathy and compassion, creates a humane society. All who can suffer benefit from such things. I hate moral relativism. Some have claimed that moral claims are somehow all equal. This is a falsity. All moral claims exist to serve the basis of reason. Some moral claims do that better than others. On those grounds they are superior moral claims. A tool that better performs its function is a better tool. This is a fundamental truth. A good moral system is fundamental and universal. That which is firmly founded on the fundamental and the universal is itself fundamental and universal. And what is more fundamental and universal than sentience? This provides a basis for a moral system that applies to all who can suffer. There are two values that are fundamental and universal: like of pleasure and dislike of pain. A moral claim that is firmly founded upon these values is itself fundamental and universal. This is irrational morality. This is an egoistic justification of altruism. A universal moral system built on rational self-interest. This is why concerning yourself with the well-being of others is in your own rational self-interest. This is why seeking to eliminate cruelty is in your own rational self-interest. This is why attempting to reduce suffering is in your own rational self-interest. This is a rational moral system. A moral system that justifies concern for the well-being of others. We must concern ourselves with the well-being of others because doing so promotes respect for sentience, propagates empathy and compassion, constructs a society that is opposed to suffering, and establishes a precedent that benefits us all, furthering our own fundamental interests as sentient beings. Here I have explained some of the basics of my approach to morality. This approach is inspired by various moral philosophies, ranging from ethical egoism to utilitarianism. Now you will have a better understanding of the moral reasoning upon which many of my political views are built. This is a politics channel, not a philosophy channel, but politics and philosophy are closely interrelated. For that reason, I have released this video. I hope my explanation was not too incoherent. Most philosophical communication ends up being miscommunication. In short, I believe in rational morality. It is my view that we should try to reduce suffering and eliminate cruelty. It is my view that we should care about human well-being. I believe that these things are in our own rational self-interest. To many people, these claims may sound like obvious common sense. But to some, they are anything but. Being able to justify your moral claims is incredibly important. Thank you for watching. More political content is on the way. I invite you to share your own thoughts and ideas in the comments.